Hi, I'm Tim Draper, and I wore this Bitcoin tie in honor of the Argentinian Fintech Association. I am thrilled to be asked to talk a little bit about what I see the future of fintech to be. And Nacho, thank you for that. I think that we're in a really interesting time and a really interesting transitional period where the world is going from fiat to Bitcoin and other crypto. It's one of those times where the world's starting to recognize that this is just better currency, and it doesn't have to be tied to the whims of some government entity. And so I feel like you who are entrepreneurs in this field have the potential to lead us to this new world that is more decentralized and open and frictionless. And when you have less friction in an economy, it builds wealth. The other things that build wealth are trust. And the trust usually starts from the top. You want trust in government. And freedom, where you have the freedom, free markets, the freedom to speak out, to do what you need to do with your life as an entrepreneur, the freedom to build your business without regulatory interference. Those are the things that really create wealth. The freedom, if you're in Korea now, you've now had 70 years testing whether a free market, capitalistic democracy does better than a socialist dictatorship centrally controlled by the government. And the average South Korean now makes 400 times as much as the average North Korean. And 4 generations later, the average South Korean is 4 inches taller than the average North Korean. You want your government to thrive, you want your people to thrive, you create a free system. The other thing I want to talk about is trust, and that is that the Singapore government was very untrustworthy, and they were one of the poorest countries in the world, and then Lee Kuan Yew came in and built trust into that country. And now they're probably the most trustworthy country in the world, and that trustworthiness has made them one of the wealthiest countries in the world. So those are two things that are really interesting. Well, now, how does that relate to fintech? It looks to me as though there is more trust in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies than there is in government currencies. And so governments, the best of governments, are going to have to recognize that and say, hey, yeah, let's figure out how we can make Bitcoin our national currency. I had this discussion with President Macri. I haven't met your new president, but I had this discussion with President Macri where I said, look, you bring, first I told him bring 5G into the country, but then if you make Bitcoin your national currency, there will be trust throughout the world in your economy and in your people, and you will attract all the great entrepreneurs around the world. You know as well as anybody being in Argentina that that having a stable currency can help you think in terms of growing your business without the threat of losing it to currency manipulation. And we're just experiencing in the U.S. Recently with the big inflow of $10 trillion of right into the flooding the country with $10 trillion. Suddenly the dollar's worth 10%, 20%, 30% less than it was before they did that. So the trust in your currency turns out to be really relevant. And so whatever it is you're doing, I would encourage you to move your people toward this decentralized, open, global currency. The world has gone global, and some governments are threatened by that, and some governments are encouraging that, and the ones that are encouraging that are going to be the ones that 40 years from now are the big winners. The ones that are trying to retain tribalism are going to be the big losers over the next 40 years. So I think that you who are involved in the fintech world have a big opportunity and big responsibility to bring your people to a more open, transparent world. I have the vision, the dream of being able to raise a fund. I'm a venture capitalist. To be able to raise a fund in Bitcoin, totally in Bitcoin, to invest it totally in Bitcoin, have the entrepreneurs pay their employees and suppliers all in Bitcoin, and have it all built on a smart contract so that everyone gets the money that they're supposed to get in real time. And the accounting bill goes to zero, the auditing bill goes to zero, and the bookkeeping bill goes to zero, and the legal bill goes to zero. That is a big hope and a big dream of mine. And I think that governments that are clever will figure out how to tax in Bitcoin so people can actually operate their businesses completely in Bitcoin. And then they won't be as resistant to having business done in Bitcoin. So I think this is a very exciting time. I know that we've got Ripio out there doing great things. I know that Mercado Libre is doing great things in Argentina. I think Nacho and his team at Draper Cygnus are doing great things in Argentina. And I'm thrilled to be able to talk to you about this. Thank you so much for having me, and I wish you all the best, and hopefully COVID just washes through us and we're all herd immune soon. Thank you. I'd like to add one more thing, and that is I made a bet with President Macri, and that was when Bitcoin was about 10,000, and it dropped to 4,000 the next time I met him. So I made this bet that said, I'll tell you what. Oh, and during that time, the Argentinian peso had dropped from 75 cents down to 25 cents. So I made him a bet that over the next year, that Bitcoin would outperform the Argentinian peso, and if the Argentinian peso did better than Bitcoin, then I would double my investment in Argentina. And if Bitcoin outperformed the Argentinian peso, then he would make Bitcoin a national currency. Well, I'm sorry to say that he is no longer in office. So, but I think if he had made Bitcoin a national currency, Argentina would be one of the shining lights of the entrepreneurial ecosystem, and there would be incredible wealth being created there. I'm happy to make that same bet with a new president.